Hello YouTube, Scamp the Wolf here, back with another video for your viewing pleasure. And on this stream, we'll be talking about the top 25 best albums of 2021, and which will be definitely a good list to go through. So, yeah, all of these albums I have in the top 25 are albums that I really enjoyed this year, of course. And I'm only missing about 6 albums physically. Some of them I don't think I'll ever get physically because they're just digital releases. Like they're not available on CD. I have about 19 of the 25 albums I had here with me right now. These are all the physical copies that I have. Um, yeah, there's some that I don't have physically that I will get. You'll see which ones they are. And if I don't have them on CD, then I will just show you a picture of them on my phone. So, yeah, so let's get right into it. I'm just going to breeze through number 25 through number 11 so you know what they are. Number 25 here, we have Ghost Iris with Comatose. Very good album. Very good progressive metalcore from Denmark. Definitely good. Recommended tracks for this one would be Ebb and Flow, Coda, and Paper Tiger. Definitely a good album right here. Ghost Iris Comatose, definitely recommended. Very unique. I mean, not as unique, but like definitely, this would be definitely worth your time if you wanted to listen to. Number 24, we have Ginger with Wallflower. Definitely very good. The Ukrainian band comes back with another good one after Macro, which is a great album, which is their best. Not as good as Macro. Not honestly, like the replay value on this one is not all there, but like there's some good stuff on here, like Sleep with the Righteous, Vortex. That's a very good song. Dead Hands, Feel No Pain. It's good. Copycat. Yeah, even Call Me a Sibyl's pretty good on here. So yeah, Ginger, Wallflower. Definitely give this one a listen if you like uniqueness in your metal and stuff like that. So that's Ginger with Wallflower. Number 23, Era with their self-titled album. This will be one that's going to be high up on a lot of metalcore lists this year. Not really like nearly as much, but this is definitely a good album. Definitely good. Era is definitely doing things right here. Like some recommended tracks on this album would be Snowblood and Gungrave. Lunar Halo is pretty good. Um, Scorpion Hymn, and that's pretty much the highlights on here, but there's other good tracks on here too. So if you like progressive metalcore, definitely check this out. This is going to be one of the key releases of that genre this year. So yeah, that's pretty much the extent of that. Number 22, we have Rivers of Nile with The Work. I don't have this one, obviously, but I will definitely get this one very soon because it is a very good album from the progressive death metal act. Rivers of Nile, definitely a very unique band for sure. Hopefully, they make other great albums pretty soon. Like I would definitely be looking forward to that. Good songs on here like Clean and Focus and Wait, which is definitely different for them, which is more acoustically based. I like that they experimented on this one. Very good stuff in that regard. And also, like, maybe One Day is a good song as well that also has some, like, acoustic-based stuff. And, yeah, that's also very good. So, The Work by Rivers of Nile coming in at number 22. Number 21 is another one I don't have. Johari with the album Ure, however you pronounce that. But, yeah, Johari's an underground band, and I've definitely been touting their name for a while now because I definitely think they should be listened to. So, yeah, if you like progressive metalcore, even progressive metal in general, and you haven't looked up Johari, definitely give them a listen, especially their album Terra. That one I think is one of their best. But highlights on here: What Have We Done? Eternal. The Wandering Flame is also pretty good. Circles is a good track. Fast and Heavy, that's a good one. The Answer. There's a lot of good stuff on Johari's latest album. So yeah, if you want something that you haven't heard before in the genre, definitely give Johari's Urinate, whatever however you pronounce it, a listen. Number 20. Now here's one I do have on CD. Sleep Tokens album. This place will become your tomb. Definitely a step up in a positive direction for Sleep Token. Definitely good. This is more. I think this is more diverse and more consistent than their last album, Sundowning, which was also their first. This is their sophomore. And typically, debut albums are usually the band's best work, but I appreciate this album a lot. Good songs on here. Hypnosis is good. Mine is good. Like That. I like that song a lot. No pun intended. The Love You Want, that's a good song. Alkaline. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on here. So if you're into like uniqueness, again, Sleep Tokens, This Place Will Become Your Tomb is for you. Definitely worth recommending. Definitely worth checking out. The mystique of the band is definitely a lot interesting. So yeah. Hold on a second. Number 19. Another one I don't have. Idola with Perennial Philosophy. This is a very good surprise. I usually get into like some new bands and stuff this year. This is definitely one of them. Idola, definitely good. More along the lines of technical post-hardcore, somewhat. Definitely good stuff on here. Perennial Philosophy is one of my favorite songs of the year. Definitely a good track. Counterfeit Shrines is good. Mutual Fear is good. Ancient Temperament is good. Those tracks basically are pretty good. If you like that style, if you like dance, having dance, you'll probably like Idola a little bit if you like that kind of music. So, yeah, that's definitely worth checking out. So, Idola with The Architect coming in at number 19. At number 18, we have Mastodon with Hush and Grim, a very ambitious record for the band and also the first in like 4.5 years. But that's also pretty good. Not as good as like Emperor of Sand or Remission. Those are probably my favorites from the band, even though The Hunter is pretty good as well. Crack the Sky, of course, is a classic, but like I think those two in particular are my favorites. Don't hate on me for that. But anyway, Peace and Tranquility is a good song. Pushing the Tides, which was one of the singles, is good. Tear Drinker is good. I saw them perform that on the Late Night with Seth Meyers. That a couple. So if you haven't looked up that performance, definitely do so. I think it's pretty good. Gobblers of Dregs is good. Eyes of Serpents is good. This is a double album too, so there's a lot of highlights on here. Pain with an Anchor. I mean, yeah, there's tons of good stuff on Mastodon's album. It is a little bloated, which is anticipated for a double album, but whatever, right? So yeah, Mastodon with Hush and Grim coming in at number 18. And at number 17, we got another good band here. Thrice with Horizons East. Not as good as Palms, but still very good. It's a little bit more guitar driven than Palms, but this is a good album too. I think definitely some good stuff on here, like Scavengers, the lead single. That's a very good song. Northern Lights, which is probably the closest that it gets to being more like Palms, but it's very good. I just like that so much. Still Life, The Dreamer, um, we're Buried in the Sun, even Summer Set Fire to the Rain. These are great songs. Definitely worth checking out. So number 17, we got Thrice with Horizons East. Not one of their best albums, but it's still pretty darn good. Now, number 16, you get Frontier with Oxidized, very aggressive, progressive stuff from I think I don't know Scotland or something. I don't know. Let me go. Let me go. Excuse me. I forgot where they were from. Yeah, Scotland. Frontier. This one, I don't know if I'll ever get a physical copy, but because it's not on Amazon or anything, it's on Bandcamp, but whatever. But Oxidized, definitely one of the most aggressive album of the year. Definitely some solid tracks for sure, like Corrosive Wash. That's probably my favorite song from the album. You also have tracks like LKWX, which is good, Slash Hope, Stereopticon is good, Removal of the Copper, Iris, and The Lightning Pill, that song's good. Um, And let's see here. Heirloom is good. Opaque Horizon. I mean, there's a lot of good songs in this album. Like, it's heavy, for sure. It's chaotic and stuff. And that's what I like about it. Because it has all those qualities and it's very good to listen to. So, yeah. Frontier with the album Oxidized. Definitely a good album. Number 15. We're now in the top 15 here. Um, Sentinels with Collapse by Design. I do not have this album yet, and I wish I had it because it's a good one. It is a doozy, and I mean that in a good way as well. Because Sentinels is this is their debut album, and it's impressive that a debut album is in the top 15 on my best of list. Because yeah, it's just so darn good. And you have songs like Inertia and Tyrant; those two were definitely very good lead-off singles. And then you got to songs like Coalescence and Comfort and Familiar Pain, and Embers, Albatross, and the instrumental Solitude. And you realize this is a good band. This is a good progressive metalcore band. Not the most unique in the genre, but still very good. I think it's still very competent at what they do. They have a mathcore kind of edge to them, which is very nice. They have a technical edge, and definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of anything that I said that I used to describe this band. So Sentinels by this album here, Sentinels, Collapse by Design, definitely worth checking out. Now, number 14, one of the more popular albums of the year, Architects with For Those That Wish to Exist. This was released in February, so it's been out longer than many of these albums, but still, it's very good. I still think it's very good. I kind of have a soft spot for this album because I was excited for it. Didn't really live up to a lot of excitement that I had, a lot of the excitement that I had, because I feel like they could have done better. Something like Holy Hell or All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us. Maybe not Hollow Crown because they're like kind of past to that era of their career, but like still, this is very good. Tracks like Black Lungs and Animals, those are great. Um, This Course is Dead and Impermanence. Those songs I liked on the album. Little Wonder. The guests are good. From Biffy Clyro, Royal Blood, and Parkway Drive. All of those are good. And yeah, there is some filler, like Flight Without Feathers and Meteor. Those tracks I'm not super big on. But as a whole, this album still works. So For Those That Wish to Exist by Architects definitely is worthy of being number 14 on my list. Number 13, we get a legendary band coming in here at number 13. And this is one of the more hyped up releases in the metal and rock community of 2013. We get Iron Maiden with Senjutsu. This is their comeback album, and boy, is it a good comeback album for them. Definitely good stuff. There's definitely still consistent with everything that all the heavy metal and stuff. Yeah, it's just really good stuff. There's very adventurous stuff on here. Tons of 10-minute tracks, definitely good. Songs like Stratego, sorry for stuttering on that. The Writing on the Wall, Days of Future Past, title track. There's a ton of great songs on here. Darkest Hour. Yeah, so, yeah, this is definitely very much worth the wait for Iron Maiden fans for sure. Not as good as something from their earlier career, like Seventh Son or Power Slave or something like that, but it's still pretty good. So, yeah, Iron Maiden with Senjutsu, definitely worthy of its placement. Some would put it a lot higher than I would, but, this is my list. So, if you don't like it, then so what? Number 12, it's another album I don't have. And it's a crime that I don't have this because it should be here. Dream Theater View from the Top of the World. Definitely good. This is definitely good. This is probably Dream Theater's best in a long time. And I only got into Dream Theater in like 2015, 2014, somewhere around there. And yeah, Dream Theater. Yeah, there's tons of like good songs on this album. This is them coming back to after a couple albums I was big on. I know people didn't like The Astonishing, and I don't really care for that one either. Distance Over Time was just okay, but like A View from the Top of the World, this is definitely a step in the right direction. You got tracks like Sleeping Giant. That track's probably my favorite on the album. Awaken the Master is also good with that 8-string guitar riff and stuff, and it definitely adds a lot of layers to the instrumentation for sure. And View from the Top of the World, this titled track is definitely very good as well. And the singles too, the Alien and Invisible Monster are also pretty good. So yeah, Dream Theater, View from the Top of the World, definitely. I definitely hope to get this album soon and have it in my collection because I need to get it. And don't worry, guys, it's coming. So that's my number 12 pick, Dream Theater, View from the Top of the World, and my number 11 pick. And then we'll get to honorable mention because I did not get to that earlier. Number 11, Vengeance by 12 Foot Ninja. Definitely a very unique band from Australia that has a lot of good stuff. I think I might like Outlier more than this, but that could be debatable because Vengeance is also very good. This is their most diverse album, I think, because they do so many things. Like, Start the Fire is more traditional. That's a good song. But there's also tracks like One Way Home, Vengeance, IDK, Shock to the System. You got Dead End, Over and Out, Culture War. A lot of these songs are good. I don't really think there's a bad song on here. There's nothing mind blowing, but still, there's nothing bad. Definitely very good. So that's 12 Foot Ninja with Vengeance coming in at number 11. And that's it for the top 25 to 11. We're going to get to the top 10. And I have all the albums that are in the top 10 on my list. I own all of them. But I'm just going to mention the EP real quick because I didn't do that. Thank You, Scientist, Plague Accommodations. That EP is pretty good. I like the song Creature Comfort a lot. It's probably the only EP that I kind of like this that I had this sort of like feeling for. But anyway, the top honorable mentions. Go on here. Converge and Chelsea Wolfe. Blood Moon 1 is the first one. Not consistently listened to or anything like that, but like definitely good for what it is. And I do hope to get into some Converge because they are an iconic metalcore band. They kind of help get the genre going. Very good stuff. Another band that I want to get into, Chelsea Wolfe too. Next one, Frost Day and Age. I don't listen to this one as consistently as I did when I first listened to it, but there's still some good stuff on here. Skywards, Kill the Orchestra, those two were pretty good tracks. Excellent progressive rock for if you like Genesis or Yes in their 80s material, like you like that kind of stuff, definitely give Frost a try. Next one, Mammoth, Wolfgang Van Halen. I do have this on CD, but I don't want to pull it out because I don't do that with the honorable mentions. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, Eddie Van Halen's Son, definitely good stuff. The Distance, Circles, those songs are good. Other good songs like Epiphany, and yeah, that's pretty much the extent of that. So Mammoth, Wolfgang Van Halen's album. Next up, we have Sowen's Imperial. This one's also pretty good. This was a January release, and it's not aged as well as I hoped, but it's still pretty good. Like tracks like Lumerian, and Modesty, especially, is my favorite track on the album. Definitely good with that. But yeah, Sowen's Imperial, definitely good. Not one of the best progressive metal albums of the year, but still good. And lastly, we have which is going to be a Critical Darling album. Turnstile with Glow On, definitely good. Taking post-hardcore in a different direction. And that's exactly what I like for bands in that scene. So I'm not going to have this like high up, obviously, it's an honorable mention. It's not in the top 25, but still. Turnstile with Glow On is definitely a good album. I don't listen to it a lot, but it's still good. So after I drink this water, we're going to get into the top 10. All right, so at number 10. I got into this band this year. Definitely a good band. Definitely a band that I recommend a lot of people go listen to. Number 10, Death Heaven with Infinite Grain. Now, yeah, this is definitely a different album for Death Heaven. More shoegazy kind of stuff here. But it's definitely very good. And I wish I had more from Death Heaven, most notably Sunbather, I have some maiden, but I wish I had Ordinary Corrupt Human Love because I like that album. But this album, still good. If you want something shoegazy, definitely check this out. Like I know this will like not be a fan favorite for people who like the previous sound of Death Heaven from Sunbather, the more like screamo slash black metal slash whatever slash what if splash. Why did I say splash? But like, but it's still good. This is still good music. They still know how to change into a direction that makes sense for them, and that's something very good for Death Heaven for sure. Um, of course, great massive color and vanishing, awesome singles, and Shelf Star is a great opening track. But you also have Mombasa, which is the closest this album gets to being pure black metal. I mean, not pure black metal, but like having those elements in it, and that's something good. I don't even like black metal that much, but Death Heaven does it in a way that I like. Also, and Blur is pretty good too. Like, you want something that kind of is reminiscent of the '90s? Definitely check out and Blur, and definitely give this album a try because this is definitely good. Death Heaven with Infinite Granite definitely deserves its placement on the list because it is just so darn fantastic of an album. Definitely worth checking out if you like any of the genres I mentioned. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. Number 9 here, we have the new Trivium effort in the Court of the Dragon. Not as good as Sentence and the Sentence still, but I think it topped what the Dead Man Say just a little bit. But I just, Trivium has done really good stuff with their material in recent times. They're a band that's been very consistent as of late, beginning in 2017 with that album, Sin the Sentence. And this one is no different from that one. You got a lot of great riffs and stuff on here. Alex Bett's drum work is always good and stuff like that. Like Matt Heafy's vocal work is always good. And the other members of the band are no slouches to this album, like especially on tracks like In the Court of the Dragon title track, like a Sword of Damocles. You got A Crisis of Revelation, that song's great. Shadow of the Abattoir, and Fall Into Your Hands, and a Phalanx, that's the last track. Definitely good stuff. More orchestral elements, definitely good. Like it's more. Like, I like this album cover too. It's really cool. Definitely worth you looking at and stuff. Like, so yeah, In the Court of the Dragon. This is definitely one of the better albums of this year. So yeah, I don't know if I've listened to this one as much as the other two, but I can say that this is better than what the Dead Men Say, which is still a great album. But I just think this one's better. This one is also great. So yeah, In the Court of the Dragon, number 9. Now we get to our number 8. Obscura with a Valediction, if I'm saying that correctly. And yeah, this is some great technical death metal, progressive death metal. Not a genre that I'm consistently into or anything, but Obscura definitely sold me on this album. This feels like it carries a lot of different elements, actually, like progressive death metal. Um, there's mellow death, even. Like, I mean, the dude from Soilwork, Jorn Strid, makes an appearance on one of these songs. His appearance is actually pretty good. I actually didn't know it was him doing the vocals, but yeah, I'm not huge on Soilwork, but I think his cameo on this is great. His guest feature on this is great. You also have good songs like a Valediction. Again, if I'm not saying it right, I know it's a Valediction. Is whatever valedictorian or whatever. Like, just stay with me, all right? Don't make this a big deal. But yeah, you have that song, the title track. You have In Adversity, which, man, I love In Adversity. That's a great song. Also, The Neuromancer, that's a great song. Orbital Elements 2, that's a good instrumental track. Really shows this band's capabilities at instrumental. Like, at their instruments and stuff. It's a very good track. And Unity's good. When Stars Collide, the song, the Soil Work vocalist, good. Forsaken's good. Solaris is good. Pretty much most of this album is pretty good. Like, and even though the ones I don't really love, like Devoured Silver, that track is kind of just mad. But like most of this album is great. Definitely in terms of its instrumental work. Like, and this is one of those albums that really makes me love metal because this kind of metal because the guitar work, the solo work, the riffs, like you just want to listen to it. The drum work, even like how fast it gets. Like I just like that so much about Obscura. So yeah, Obscura, a Valediction, definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of any of the styles that they play. So that's that's a good one. And at number 7, we have Silent Planet with Iridescent. This is a very emotional album, but also a very aggressive and heavy album from the progressive metalcore scene. And Silent Planet are definitely like one of those bands that tries to break the mold when it comes to, like post the progressive metalcore bands, because like their sound is similar to that, but like it's also like very accented by Garrett Russell's vocal, not just his vocal work, but also his lyricism, which is something very. It's very wordy, very interesting to hear, like especially in, but also just the aggression in these songs. Very of the atmosphere of these songs is also very good. Like in the title track, the final track on the album, that's a good one. Alive as a House Fire, that's good. Panopticon is my favorite song from this album. Very heavy, but Translate the Night, Second Son, those are good. Trilogy, and then you have Terminal as well, which is one of the more emotion-driven songs on the album. Yeah, you can't go wrong with a lot of this album. It's very good. Very happy that I got into this band finally because Silent Planet definitely is one of the top dogs, one of the many top dogs in progressive metalcore that actually does things right in the genre. And yeah, yeah, they're trying to like break their boundaries and like do new things and stuff like that, and that's always good, especially in a genre that has become stale over a while. And I love progressive metalcore, but like like it, I will admit that there's some staleness to it. This is This is very interesting music. So, Iridescent by by Silent Planet. I almost said Solid State, which is their record label, but yeah, Iridescent by Silent Planet is at number 7. My number 6 pick is Canned by Whitechapel. Definitely got me on board with Whitechapel again after I was kind of underwhelmed by them. Like, I thought The Valley wasn't very good until I started hearing people really praise the album, and then I went back and listened to it. I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. I'm kind of still like, whatever, but appreciate it a lot more now. Like, and Kin is like their best. I'm not joking. This is their best album, I think. Like, I know people will try to fight me on that, but Kin, definitely a good album for sure. Like, there's a lot of great songs on here. A lot of great like deathcore esque moments. Actually, like the ones that made us and To the Wolves. Those are great songs. But there's also a lot of melody on here. Like, that's because the lead vocalist tries to sing more on the tracks. Yeah, that's good. Like, it's present on tracks like Anti-Cure, which is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. History is Silent, Orphan, Without Us, which has grown on me to be an excellent song. I really like it. And this is weird, but this song kind of reminds me of like Contortionist a little bit. But Contortionist, kind of, sort of. I don't know if anyone else hears it, but like it kind of does remind me, like the cadence of the verses on that song kind of remind me of something that the Contortionist would make on language or something. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being crazy, but It's kind of like that mixed with Whitechapel's deathcore song because that song is kind of like a best of both worlds kind of song. It's great. And then the end of the album, the title track, which ends the album, is also very good, very acoustic, which is surprising. And yeah, there's not a lot of weak ends to this album. The only kind of weak ends are probably the opening track, I Will Find You, but even that's good. Lost Boy is also good. Yeah, Kin by Whitechapel, definitely worth checking out. If you haven't been into Whitechapel in a while, definitely give this album a listen. If you love the Valley, you'll probably like the King. If you're more used to like early Whitechapel, like New Era of Corruption or something like that, you probably will not like this album as much because it's more melodic, but give this one an open chance because I liked it a lot. You might like it too. So, yeah, Whitechapel with Kin coming in at number 6. And number 5. This one, I was so anticipating this album coming out. When this got announced and finally dropped, definitely worthy of being on the list for sure. So, number 5, got Miratias by Chevelle. And that's an awesome album art too. Well, so yeah, Miratias, I'd say at this point in Chevelle's career, this is definitely the best of their post 2010s. Their more modern style where they try to do different stuff and things like that. Like there's a lot of great stuff on here. Like this is actually one of the first albums I streamed myself listening to, so that's good as well. But like Miratias, like there's tons of great stuff on here. They push the boundaries, and at the same time, they try to be themselves, and that's good. And it's very unique, and it's a concept album about Mars and stuff. Like because there's a track called Mars Simula on here, and the concept is very interesting, very ambitious. This might be their most ambitious album to date, and that's definitely a good thing because you have so many great songs on here, like Self Destructor and Peach. Those two are great. Remember When reminds me of Wonder What's Next a little bit. Mars Simula kind of reminds me of something from this type of thinking. And also you get like other great tracks, Ghost and Razor, So Long Mother Earth, which is an epic song. And even the instrumentals add a lot of context to the album, I think. I know some that might turn some people off, but I personally like that about the album because that's very weird. It's very with that like Sleep the Deep, and then I think it's either Wormhole or Pistol Star. I think it's Wormhole. That's the interlude, and then Test Enough is an interlude as well. I like that about this album that it's not afraid to go like be like a concept. And then Lost in Digital Woods is good. Varrock, the opening track, is all instrumental, which is awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. And yeah, Near its highest, definitely good. Chevelle, it's high up there on my ranking of the best Chevelle albums. Of course, they can't top, you know, Wonder What's Next or La Gargola or this type of thinking. But this album is still very good. Like for what it does and tries to accomplish and all that stuff. I think it's very ambitious for them, and I hope they keep making more albums like this because Chevelle are definitely a band. They're maybe this is biased because they're number 5 on the list, and I love Chevelle so much. But even taking the bias aside, I can't really ignore the fact that this is very good stuff. So Chevelle, Miratias, definitely recommended. Definitely worthy of being in the top 5, and definitely an album that you need to listen to at some point, even if you don't like it or like it. Number 4. Oh, this is going to be an album that not very well known, but definitely deserves to be more well known, especially since the material in here is so good. This one, Vola with Witness at number 4. Now, hold on, let me take a drink. Vola with Witness. Yeah, easily the best progressive metal album of this year. Not metalcore, not just metal, not something unidentifiable, but like in progressive metalcore. In progressive metal. This is the best of this year. That's because the hooks are so good, and just all the tracks are, except for maybe one song, maybe Future Bird is kind of just meh, but the rest of them are fantastic. And tracks like Straight Lines and 24 Light Years and Snow Leader Falling Down Inside Your Fur, These Black Claws, Freak even, Head Mounted Sideways. Oh yeah, that's right, Napalm. Napalm is definitely my favorite song of the year, and it's definitely a song you need to listen to. Like, I'm not going to really say much about it. Napalm is excellent. Definitely give that song a listen, if anything. But yeah, on this album, they definitely push themselves to like be more radio friendly, but at the same time, be very good with the rhythm and very good with the hooks and stuff. And it's a good version of that. Like, hooks are so great on this. The riffs are so great. Everything is so great. The production is great. Like, man, this is an album I really wish I would have listened to on stream because it is great. It is a fantastic album from start to finish. Like, you don't really get a lot of that. Like, even like since this album has songs that kind of sound similar to each other, like they have the same key, kind of, sorta. Even considering that, like the songs still are identifiable. Like, you could tell what you're listening. You could tell what track this is because they have their own identity to them, and that's what I like about them. Yeah, it's just great. Like, Vola has definitely headed places, and this is an album that will define their place in the metal sphere and stuff like that. Like, definitely good stuff. Like yeah, definitely. And again, definitely listen to the song Napalm if you want any reasons as to why. So yeah, Vola Witness definitely good for being the number 4 album on my list. Number 3. This is going to be a very pertinent mainstay in this year's list. But number 3, I have Gojira with the album Fortitude. And yeah, there's no other way around it. This is definitely one of their best albums for sure. I love this album a lot. This is definitely going to be one of their best albums, considering this is going to be a classic in the years to come. You know, a lot of lists have albums that like everybody's going to put on their list, and Fortitude definitely deserves that distinction because, man, there's a lot of stuff that reminds me of exactly why Gojira is a good band in the first place. Like songs like Amazonia, where it's different, where it's like, you know, more tribal influence and stuff like that, which is not my thing, but they do it so well here that it's a positive. Born for one thing, Amazonia and Another World. I think those 3 were the lead singles. But the rest of the album is really good too. Fortitude is a good, the title track is a good lead in into the chant, which is more melody driven and stuff than the rest of the album. But man, like the rest of the album is very good. Like Into the Storm, Sphinx, Newfound, Ryan. I'm just gonna say the entire track list, everything on the track listing. Hold On, it's also good. All these tracks are good. There isn't a single weak moment to this album, and that's something that other Gojira albums had, like the Effect Sauvage, if I'm saying that right, or From Mars to Sirius even is also like an album without many like loose ends or like bad tracks or whatever, or like weaker tracks or something like that. Like, that's something I can't really say about Magma because Magma did the first half was definitely better than the second half, but Fortitude is one of Gojira's albums that's good all the way through. It's very consistent and very unique, very good, very Gojira, and that's something you have to admire about Gojira. Well, now what's amazing is Gojira. I just got into Gojira this year because I've been trying to get into them for years. You can never do it. Like, even though I tried my hardest to get into them and I just never did. And then finally, at the beginning of this year and maybe the end of last year, I really decided to give Gojira a chance. And hey, it worked. I became a fan of Gojira, and I'm glad that I got into them during this era of their career, Fortitude, the Fortitude era, because man, Fortitude is such a great album. Like, it's definitely this is definitely going to be one of their. This is definitely an album that will be highly ranked as amazing. Like I said, this will be a classic. This will be like a classic album as the years go on. This will be like in 2050, people will be saying Fortitude is like on one of those like metal lists. That's like, oh, classic album. Definitely go listen to it. Like kind of like how and Gojira will be like one of their best, one of the best, one of the bands that's like gigantic. And so yeah, Gojira with Fortitude in at number 3. Number 2, silver medal. If Gojira gets the bronze, who gets the silver? I'll tell you. This album right here, Spirit Box, Eternal Blue. Another album that's going to be on so many year-end lists. I know there's some people that don't like it, that say, oh, the hype was like too strong or whatever. Like it's not anything different from what Spirit Box did, like from what other bands in Spirit Box's genre have done. The metalcore, progressive metalcore. There's some people that don't like progressive metal or metalcore in general. And they say it's not as unique or whatever. But like, man, Spirit Box with this album totally gets everything right that progressive metalcore should be, and metalcore in general. Like, the hype is well earned, totally well earned for Spirit Box. Like, this is one of those where I'm just gonna say the entire track list because the whole track list on here, from Sun Killer all the way to Constance, all of them are good. Every single song is great. Like, particular favorites would have to be like Hurt You and The Summit and Silk and the Strings. That's a very underrated one that people should listen to. Um, Halcyon is good. Circle with Me, that's a good song. And of course, Holy Roller and Constance. I don't even need to say anything about those songs because a lot of people have already said they're very good. They're very notable. Like Secret Garden, Yellow Jacket, which is with Sam Carter of Architects, very good. Title track is good. Even We Live in a Strange World and Sun Killer, those tracks are good. We Live in a Strange World is more like the experimental one, I guess, which has kind of pop elements, but they make it work so well. Like, and like Courtney LaPlante is a very good vocalist. Like, she's very good on this entire album. I'm just showing this. That's what it looks like without the slip cover. I just put the slip cover on it because I hate how I just don't like slip covers where there's like a piece where it like gets caught or something or like can rip off. But like anybody, taking that out of the equation, this album, another perfect album for 2021. Definitely so. If you have not heard this album, definitely go check it out. Definitely listen to Spirit Box. Definitely make Spirit Box one of the bands to bring rock music and metal music back into popularity because Spirit Box definitely deserves it. For all the things that they've done. One of the best Canadian bands for sure. Like, yeah, because they're from Canada. Like one of the best Canadian bands in a while. And yeah, definitely vibing with this album. Definitely, that's my number 2 pick. I'm just gonna put these on the ground right now before I reveal my number 1, which is kind of obvious, kind of not obvious. And what gets the gold trophy? What is my album of the year this year? Well, if you watched my stream back in April, you probably will know which is my favorite album of the year. It's the album I got really emotional at, and it's super good. So, number one, greatest mistake of my life by holding absence. There's no other way around it. I definitely really love this album. This album I definitely got emotional at. Definitely good. Like again, this is another one we'll say all the tracks are good on it. Like there's no weak end to this album. I think like very emotional sounding music. I'm just gonna remove the slipcover again. Uh, like yeah, this is a very emotional album. I love the concept. Like I love how holding absence or doing stuff. It's like very resonating. Like this is a timeless album. I think like tracks like uh, man, man, what an album! What an album! I'm just gonna say that right now. Like this is a fantastic album. The music on it is fantastic. Very emotional. Like his vocals, Lucas Woodland, whatever his name is, his vocals, they're very good on the album. They're very emotional, very emotive sounding. Like especially on tracks like In Circles and No More Roses and Die Alone in Your Lover's Arms, Curse Me With Your Kiss, Celebration Song. It's good. Like the interludes are very good on this album. Like they add to the album. Like they're very good. Like yeah, Beyond Belief and Afterlife, those are good. They were the singles that came before. Drugs and Love is even good. It's Drugs and Love. I'm not like I don't repeatedly come to drugs that song Drugs and Love, but I do like it though. It's just not one of my favorites on the album. But there is no weak end to this album. Like, and I forgot to mention Morning Song and the title track. What an emotional, like, gut punch that those two songs are. They are so emotional and they're so good. And they I mean, don't listen to them if you're getting really emotional. If you're in, don't listen to them if like you want to feel happy. That's for sure. But the album is about sadness. It's about feeling a ton of emotions. Like it's about death in spite of love, and that's a good love in spite of death, death in spite of love, whatever. And like it's just such a deep album, and everything is done so well on it. And yeah, this is an album I think will become an unsung hero as the years go on. For people like this album should be ranked as one of the best of all time. Like if I had my way, everybody would be saying that this is like the best album of the year because this truly is my album of the year. Could be album of the decade, but of course we have like 8 or so years before we just actually determine what that is. But despite that, we at least have the greatest mistake of my life by holding absence to hold us company, to keep us company through that time. And that is the end of the list, and that was a great list. Definitely glad that I got that out of the way. So, I leave this to you. What are your favorite albums of this year, and what did you like about them, and stuff like that? And also, do you like any of these albums? Would you disagree with me? Would you agree with me? Would you do anything? No? Do you not care? Do you care? And yeah, that's pretty much all for this. So let me know down below in the comments section what you thought of all these albums that I talked about on this list. Let me know um, your list for favorite album of the year. Let me know like what are you anticipating for 2022. Just let me know anything. I know that I don't get as much reception as other people. We got when it was just strange because my subscriber count like comes from the early days and stuff like that. But like that's beside the point. Like just again, leave it down there like what your favorite albums and stuff are this year. And yeah, we'll have a good time. We'll have a blast talking. If I can respond to you, I definitely will. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this. So everything I just said, leave a response in the comments down below. This is Camp the Wolf signing out. Take care. Yep.